Are you ready to join me in transforming fear to freedom? That's the objective of the show. Are you ready to explore with me and my guests? Are you ready to get into the deep and play? This is where it's at, and that's what it's all about. No medical advice here. Use discernment and decide for yourself if the information is right for you. All views and opinions expressed on this show belong to the individual and are not necessarily shared with the producer of the show. Want more details? Go to letsgetrealchattingwithcatherine.com. Now let's get real and have some fun. Who are we going to explore with today? Come on with me and let's get into the deep.
We are broadcasting Let's Get Real, chatting with Catherine on YouTube today. And this is a new technology we're testing out with Shelly Dressel, my guest. And I'm so delighted for Shelly to join me once again to explore a little bit more into what's going on and what's going on in her world and what kinds of messages she's got, because we're coming up to the fall equinox in the Northern Hemisphere, and it's September 2014, and I know Shelly's got some insight into this, and who knows what else. So welcome to the show, Shelly. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Catherine. As always, it's such a joy for me to be able to spend this time with you. I love coming and being a part of your show, and I like you said, we don't know what's going to happen, but we always know it's going to be fun.
That's right. It's the fun factor of really being real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we talked when we chatted, you had a beautiful, profound message from the angels, and I know that people who've been watching the show for some time are already familiar with Shelly's gifts to channel in the goddess energy, angels, dolphins, and some new beings, and we talked about that in the last show. She talked to the angels, and she explained some of the new energy that she's been channeling. But for today, I wanted to ask about what is this spring equinox, or this fall equinox, is there's a lot of change, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot with the solar flares, and a lot of things shaking up the planet. Like, I'm actually feeling it physically myself, and noticing, I don't watch the news a lot, but I do pick up on that energy, what's going on. And so I'm wondering if perhaps, I know the angels and everyone are always around Shelly whenever we get ready for a chat. They know, they know we're going to talk, and they get an opportunity to share. So it's very special. So I wondered, Shelly, if you could share with us some energy, some insight around this topic.
Okay. I've been channeling for a long time. It's been almost 20 years now. And at the time that I first began channeling, I could perceive, like, say, one, maybe two energies, and a lot of time it was only my own self that was coming through. So I wanted to mention this for a moment just to reflect upon how much heavier the energy was at that time. This is about 20 years ago, so what was that, 1994, 95? And if you go back even 10 more years before that, the density of the energy, which is to me perceived as the heaviness of the energy. And like whenever I would try to do something, it took a great deal of effort, and I had to really be kind of focused, and kind of like I was pushing to get my thoughts through, or I was pushing to accomplish whatever it is I was looking for in my life. And if everyone looks back and thinks back to where you were at that time, you probably remember some similar type of perception of what you needed to do at that time. So when you jump forward into where we are right now, which is 2014, the energy is much more transparent, it's much lighter, it's much more of just, it's hard sometimes to put into words exactly how to describe it, but those are the things that I take as my perception, is that it's lighter, it's more transparent, there's an easier flow. So in other words, when you're living your life and when you're doing things, if you are in a place where you have to kind of force things and you have to push and you feel like you have to kind of make something happen, then that's an indicator that you're probably off track of what's in your best interest. Because when you're listening to your higher self, or you're listening to your angels, or you're doing, honestly, what really feels good to you, that's when you're in your best interest. That's when you're in alignment with what's your highest good, and that's when you're receiving the energy or the information from the angels. And the reason that I kind of have gone around the block to answer this question is to say that at the time when my perception was only 1 or 2, now it's like there is this huge volume of angels and energies that are around me, and they're not always there all the time, but yet when I need them, they kind of, it's like this movement, that flow of energy. They come, they go, they're in, they're out, and this is also a part of what I'm experiencing as I enjoy the angels or communicate with them. The other thing that's really different about now is that everybody upon the earth has a much greater ease with reaching out to their own higher self or their own angels and guides. That's all just is a part of what goes along when you're living in a higher, lighter vibration.
Things that, this has come up a couple of times when I've heard this, the sense of when it really feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. When it feels good, then you know that you're, following your bliss, or it's in harmony with your highest good and so forth. And because it's come up a few times, and I know some people will say, but it feels good for some people to do harm to someone else. Like, it feels good to get back at someone. It feels good to be mean sometimes. And so there's that, people wonder, like, how can that be? And part of my understanding is that when you're in alignment, that feels good, and in alignment with Source, with your highest aspect of you would never do harm. That wouldn't feel good. So if you're in that feel good about doing harm, you're in ego. Can you just elaborate a little bit on that?
Absolutely. A couple of things that I would like to say about that is that people that do harm to other people, they're hurting themselves first and foremost, because they are disconnected from source energy. If somebody is happy and enjoy and their life is going well, they have no need to hurt anybody else. But if someone is vindictive of other people, or if someone feels like they need revenge, or if someone feels like they want to pull someone down because it makes them feel better, that's completely ego or your personality, and it's that which is what a part is of. It's a part of what makes you human, but it also is the part that's disconnected from source energy. So you had already said it, but we confirm it for you. And that's what's going on in the world right now. There is a lot of pain and sorrow and discomfort. There are wars going on. It's a lot of division that is being shown to humanity, and it gives humanity the opportunity to create change. And people have probably heard before that you cannot create change from the space that's causing the problem. So you have to do something to get outside of that place or outside of that energy. Everything is about energy. Life is energy. Trees, rooms, people, dogs, animals, everything is energy. So when you create an alignment with something and you get stuck in an alignment that's not working for you, it's keeping you from moving forward, or you feel bad in your life, or things are not happening in your life, then that's the energy that you have to shift. So you have to disconnect from whatever that is not working for you, so that you can then, almost as if you are turning around in a circle and say, okay, let me look at it again from a new perspective. It's not saying don't want the things you want in your life, don't seek to create what you want to have. It's nothing about that at all. It's simply about finding that place within you that is then back into source energy. And we're dumping a lot into Shelly right now, but what we want to say is, so when you do see the things that are going on in the world that are troublesome to you, or that create or cause you to feel bad, that you see the violence, or you see the wars, or you see whatever it is that's going on, then if you were to connect to that and say, oh, this is terrible, what can I do to help it, and you find yourself sliding into the energy that is associated with whatever it is you want to change, you're not going to do any good. The best way that people can create change and lasting peace upon the earth, and there is going to be a shift taking place, and it is within the people that are living on the earth's lifetime. It's not like it's something 100, 200 years in the future. This change is going to be happening now because the earth is in the fifth dimension. That doesn't mean it's going to be happening this month, this year, or even this decade. But the changes are being implemented, and the outcome of those changes will be seen within a very short period of time from humanity's perspective of time. So what is the way that we would like to talk about this is that you can take a situation, you can see a situation, and you want to see the bigger picture, so to speak. So if you infuse into the energy of either balance, the balance that is going to create a co-creative relationship where the people can talk to one another and get along. So you infuse the energy of balance. You can infuse the energy of love and compassion, allowing just the flow of that source energy, the awareness of who you are first and foremost as an individual, but then also tapping into that universal light, and then you send that intention into a situation. It creates a template, so to speak, that people in that situation can then move out and align into a new space. So that's the way that the light workers, that's the way that the people that are trying to create change in the world can create a much more effective change, because you're not doing it from within the problem, you're doing it from the space of knowing it can be whole and it can be complete. Does that resonate with you?
Yes, sorry for interrupting. Yes, it does resonate with me very much, because I think that's where a lot of people have been doing their work and wanting to help the planet, wanting to help other people, lift them up and so forth, but not really knowing what to do. And I think the sense of, like you say, if you get down with the people in the hole, you can't help them get out. But if you are coming from it from a different perspective even, then you might access the tools that can help them. So that's very important. And I'm wondering if in this fall equinox, if you're getting any sense of the energy, I know it's all lifting, it's been happening, it's an ongoing process, but it feels really different now. I feel like we did cross some kind of a threshold, and I don't know if it was the solar flares lately, or if it's because we're coming out of the equinox, or just a change of seasons, or what it is, but the energy definitely feels much lighter. As you were talking at the beginning of how dense or heavier the energy was when you first started channeling, now it really does feel heavy, lighter, much lighter. And so I wondered if something's happened, if can help us to understand that a little bit better.
Yes, something has definitely happened. The Earth is a very tiny speck in the universe. And the Earth has its galaxy. You call it the Milky Way galaxy. It has the planets and the stars. And when you think of that, there's an alignment between everything. And these alignments create the support. It's like a network, so to speak, or it's like a hologram, so to speak. And all of this energy that creates this universe upon which you live, or within which you live, is there, and it's connected to other universes and other universes going out and out and out from there. So as the universe, as a universal light out in the non-Earth spaces, so to speak, as those continue to shift and evolve with the transformations taking place, it creates a direct impact upon the Earth. So too, as the Earth itself continues its rise in vibration, as it continues its opening of consciousness, that's creating an impact that goes out into the universe. So there's a flow that goes back and forth. Therefore, when you have the solar flares, therefore when the planets align in a slightly different perspective, a degree you might say, or multiple degrees, that is as if you're turning the page, and instead of looking at it in the flat 3D, you're now looking at it from a fifth dimensional perspective, which allows you to look up, down, within, without. And so it's a whole different way of looking at things. This is what the universe is doing to the Earth, and therefore allowing the people upon the Earth to do for itself. So just as we spoke of how light workers and energy people can create that change by looking at the higher perspective, so too the universe is doing that with the Earth.
Okay, this is something I hadn't even thought to ask before, but it came to me today, so I'm going to ask. I always follow what I'm inspired to ask about. So when you're channeling these light beings, these ascended masters and angels and so forth, and we've by now figured out or talked about it enough that they're here helping us. The veil is no longer, although some of us still think there is one or perceive one, but that you are, that the angels and guides are helping us. Now, when you talk about the universe, you know, the Earth being a speck, and of course that makes us really, really specky. So, but
microspeck.
But what occurred to me is, are the angels and guides and light beings from, you know, other dimensions, are they doing the same to beings on other planets? Like, are other beings on other planets channeling and accessing this wisdom? Are they helping other universes, or like, is it just us, or is it just because we are so dense that we really needed the help? Or how does that universal, I know we're all one and it's huge beyond measure, but it just occurred to me that how Shelly is channeling this energy and some new energy lately, and are there beings on other planets and in other universes, other dimensions, doing the same thing?
Yes, there are. Earth is one of the few planets out there that has the gravitational pull and actually has as dense of a universe, as dense of a planet as it is. And so there aren't a lot of people that want to go and have the experience of Earth. We take it back. You've got, what, 4 or 5 billion, trillion? We don't. There's a lot of
people on this planet. Yeah, 7 billion.
So we just said to you, not a lot of people want to do that, but so here's the thing. There are other planets out in the universe that live and have existences without physical form or without a gravitational pull. And they're having the experience of what it is to be non-physical, and what it is to be pure consciousness, and what it is to be conscious aligned with others, having experiences through that. It's just a different experience. It's not good, bad, or in between. There are maybe a couple of other planets that do have the gravitational pull and do have the density similar to the Earth, and they too are going through a similar shift and vibration. When people come to the Earth because they want to have free will, people come to the Earth because they want to experience a physical body and to have the mindset or that experience of being completely separated from the rest of collective consciousness. And there is always a thread and always something that keeps you aligned with the consciousness of all, unless you really go in and you make a true choice to disconnect from it. But all of humanity is still connected in one form or another. So people, they say, well, you know, they might think, well, this is boring, or I want something different to do. So, okay, I'm going to go into Earth, where I can have free will, where I can experience whatever it is that personality wants to experience. And perhaps that's where some of that, you know, the vindictiveness and the ego-based living is coming from. People that are, or soul essence, that have chosen to come in and have that type of a lifetime. We do remind you that everybody, whether you're the recipient or the giver, have put forth an intention of what you want to live in this lifetime, and that may be a part of it because that's going to be a springboard to something else. That may be that complete disconnect from divinity, may be your alignment with opening up it at another point to an even deeper alignment with divinity. So it's all about perspective. And it's all about the pendulum swinging too far this way, maybe too far that way, and then coming back into balance. And that'll just segue delightfully into the fall equinox here, because what is the equinox if not balance? It's about recognizing that you have you've sown your ideas or your new creations. You've let them nurture throughout the summer, and now you are harvesting them so that you can move to the next level of what's going to be happening within you. And so every time that you harvest, every time that you integrate something that's new, be it the solar flares that have taken place, be it the full moon, be it the new beginnings of a new moon, there are just multitude. We could go if you look for it, you can find the support in just a multitude of different ways. But when you are around the equinox in particular, it is about the balance, and it's about recognizing life is continuing to move for me. Life is continuing to change for me. I may not always understand it. I may not always know it, but life is moving. And sometimes your disconnect comes from the fact that you're not moving along with your life, that you are trying to stay put in one place or another and not moving forward. Therefore, you're becoming more and more and more and more and more disconnected. So it's about giving you the opportunity to say, I choose balance. I choose to fully integrate whatever it is that I'm working on, and I choose to open up to how that's going to create change in my life. So many people don't like change. They don't want things to change. And unfortunately, time keeps moving. It's not stagnant. It's not standing still. So change is going to happen. It's about instead saying, okay, maybe I don't like change in my life because it makes me feel insecure or it scares me. So how can I instead work with my energies? How can I instead make the intention and then find the support around me so that change can be much more gentle? It can be much easier. I can integrate things piece by piece by piece by piece, and then I don't have that dramatic shift that just brings up the fear in me. And this is what I think.
Right? You said shift? Shift? Dramatic shift?
Yeah. Did you think I said something else? Which would be appropriate in that situation.
I know you wouldn't, but it did kind of sound that way, so I just wanted to be clear.
Absolutely, we would not talk like that, especially in this situation. But thank you for clarifying. So that's what we're talking about, and that's what these energies. And when you say is there's something different on the earth, absolutely. There was a door that was opened with the summer solstice, and that door is fully opened now, and that's what the solar flares. And look at the supermoons. You have had 3 consecutive supermoons in which that full moon just was like a blaring energy that just it's like it radiated out the energies of the moon, and that's what cleared a lot of what was going on upon the earth. And then you had the solar flares, and you had the other alignments and the new moon and those that are in association with that came in, and it's like that's where that tweaking or that shifting between the earth and the universe took place. So yes, you are in a new place. Yes, it's different.
Okay, and something that has always made me wonder is that as we're raising the vibration, and it seems like we've had this, and I know we've talked about it on my shows many times on Let's Get Real Chatting with Catherine, but the sense that we collectively decided we're not going to blow up the earth. We wanted to raise the vibration. We can do, we've lived with the cycles of violence, war, destruction, and all of that since, eons, and now we've decided collectively we're not going to do this anymore, like at a higher level. So as we're moving up the vibration, and more people are, and I know it's that 100th monkey theory, as more and more people do it, we're going to raise humanity's vibration up. I know the earth is already up there in the 5th or 6th dimension, and many people are living in those higher dimensions. I think we've talked about that before, but what occurs to me is if, as you say, people have come to planet Earth because it's got the gravitational pull, and we were in the bodies, and we have this free will. So this planet is kind of unique that we get to choose whether we want to be loving, pleasant kind of people in these bodies, or we want to be vindictive, mean, and cruel, and so forth. Will there come a time, or are we at that time when that choice, the level of mean, cruel, doing harm to others is shifting? Like, have we come to that point where we're going to have the earth, we're going to have the experience of free will, the body, the experience of the emotions, the earth, food, chocolate, especially chocolate, having those experiences? Are we going to continue to do it but not do it in that really low, dense energy, or will somebody that say a soul on the other side say, I want to go to Earth because I can, like, potentially, I want to be another Hitler, or I want to do some of the things that some of these people have done? Or have we shifted that? Or is my question clear?
Okay, we heard a couple of different questions as you were talking about that. So, number one, Hitler actually, nobody is going to like us for this, but Hitler actually created a very tough situation, and with the millions of people that were killed, it peeled back a layer of energy that opened up the door that allowed for all of this transition to take place. And then when the nuclear bomb was exploded, that's what opened up a rift between the Earth and the universe. And so those two things in combination have been a big part of what allowed what's happening now to take place in this now time-space reality. There were other options of how it could be done, and this is what the Earth played out. So we know that there are still so many people upon the Earth that you just say those names and you say that experience for all those millions of people, and it was a very challenging time. We comprehend that completely, and we send our love and our compassion to anyone that may be feeling, still from the results of that. But we're talking about the perspective of the universe as we looked at the Earth, and that's what that represented. As we look at the Earth now, we do not have that same perception that you need to have that type of a global experience. There are still multiple different ways. The things that are going on in the world right now have a potential to trigger into a worldwide war again, because you have these locations in different parts of the world that are in conflict right now. So we keep coming back to that foundation and that basis of the world, and the consciousness decided not to completely blow up the world, but yet it can still create lots of havoc or wreak lots of havoc in different parts of in different parts of the world. So what do we do as the angels? What do we do as the guides? We feel the compassion, we feel the love, and we continue to support the light and the balance to be able to come in and create the shift that is taking place there. So walk forward a few years now and start thinking back to probably as much as the 80s, but predominantly the 80s and 90s. You brought in a whole new group of humanity that is what some people will refer to as the indigo children, or the indigo mindset, so to speak. The ones that are not going to just conform to everything else, the ones that are going to create a change for themselves, that are going to, this is what's been creating a lot of this havoc, and a lot of the older people that have been around are saying they're so selfish, they don't know how to work with other people because they are working from within their own regimen, so to speak. They're not going to be in the same paradigm as everyone else. They're saying we need a new one. And so, yes, to certain people that may look selfish, or yes, to certain people that may look like they're not thinking of the whole, but because they're not thinking of the whole as it was. So that's one way of creating the difference. And now you have the next generation of that, and these are the people that have come in since the year 2000. And some people call these the crystalline children. Some people call these the rainbow children. Some, there are many different names and labels. Sometimes, I don't know why humanity likes labels, but they do. But the energy of these are that they're now an even higher vibration than the first group of people that came in and said, we're not just going to go along with things. So you have this next level of consciousness that's now coming in, and one could say perhaps that with all the autism and all the special needs children that you have right now, they are the ones that were coming in with this new high vibration, but the earth wasn't yet ready for them, or it didn't have enough of the support, and so they triggered back to a more to something that would allow them to tolerate being in the high light vibration. This is what has happened to so many of them. And so as the earth continues to evolve, the earth is going to get to that higher vibration where suddenly many of these children or adults, whatever they may be at that point, are going to get almost like that flip will be switched, that switch will be flipped, and they'll say, oh, okay, I can come out now, or I don't need to have that shell protecting me anymore. And so
Right.
you will see a change. So that's another thing that we wanted to say. This is how the universe is coming in to support and create the changes of what's happening on the earth. The next thing that's going to go along with that are, look at how people are changing the ways in which they eat. Look at how they're changing the ways in which they'll accept certain things in their life. Is it chemical based? Is it natural? Is it organic? Is it something that is going to really support me as the physical person that I am? This is another big change taking place that's going to become even bigger as it goes along. We're just starting at that form. So again, that's another way to support not only the children, but all of the many, many adults that are now living and breathing and experiencing life at that higher vibration. You need to have the physical environment that's going to support you.
Right. So as we are raising the vibration, we're conscious, more of us are starting to be conscious. Okay, we need to raise the vibration if we want to, thrive, we want to live healthy, we want to have these, and raising the vibration really is coming from that space of love, is from my understanding. But is it the end of the time, just to be, I know you did kind of answer this, but is it the end of the time where a soul from the other side, before they incarnate, is it the end of the time where those people will choose to come to the earth to do violence, because it is a free will planet, have we raised the vibration of humanity and the earth has raised her vibration, and on the other side of the veil, is there a new understanding, like you say, with the rainbow children, the crystals, the indigos? Is that what's coming in now? People who are like, yeah, we're done with that. We're not going to do that anymore. We know we've gone too far with our industrial revolution. We're destroying our nest, so to speak. And is that what's happening?
That is in part what is happening. But even the individuals, like, say, for example, going back to Hitler, talking about him, before he incarnated, he had different potentials in front of him of how he was going to be a part of creating that change. He could have chosen something maybe that was less volatile. He could have chosen something less than a world war. He could have chosen something less than killing millions of people. So, yes, there are always options available to people. And is it your environment? Is it your genetics? That's sometimes that debate that humanity likes to have. So many of the people that are involved in the violence right now did not have that intention when they came into this world. They said, I will be a part of creating a change in this world, and I am willing to participate as is needed. And then they get into the world, they end up in a living situation, they have certain things that happen, and their options they choose is this option that may be full of violence, that may be disconnected from source, that may be. So there are very, very few people that say, I'm going to Earth because I want to really make it crap. No, it's just, much of that is where the free will, and much of that is where the consciousness can have its effect.
So, and I know that often when something very tragic, very dramatic, very horrific, sometimes it happens, and people say, why does God let that happen? And I do realize that sometimes, like when Princess Diana's car accident, and people think, oh, that was terrible, it should have been prevented, it could have been prevented, and then they start to find out, the terrible things, who did this to her. But in doing that, it had because she was such a loving person, it opened up this level of compassion that we hadn't felt in a long time. Like there was never, they measured the vibration that happened because of that incident. And so what I'm really curious about is, I know that sometimes things are allowed to happen and they do serve a higher purpose, like you said about the wars in the past, the two nuclear bombs in Nagasaki and Japan, Hiroshima. caused a great opening for us to, and this new energy to come in. So sometimes it's things like that are allowed to happen because it does create this bigger raising of vibration. But also, I guess I'm kind of really getting picky here today, but what I'm wondering is there, because we're raising the vibration, and you had said options, so Hitler came and he had options, he could have gone this way, this way, this way, and we always have free will, we have options, but will there be certain options taken off the table by the divine, by the universe, by source, so that, yeah, it's free will, but there will never be an option like that again? Or, you know, do the angels, guides, beings of light, do they take that stance where, yes, you have free will and within this certain parameters, but we have collectively agreed that no several individuals are going to be able to do this level of carnage destruction again? Is that even out there, or are we just really open, do what we want? Like, is it really possible for someone to blow up the planet? Because I understood there's been help from the divine to prevent somebody from doing that.
Yes, it is so complicated, and we wish that we could explain it in just a few words and a few sentences, and we're trying to get that through in that way. When we speak about the world is not going to be blown up, like, say, for example, when this nuclear bomb in a couple of the countries, they were saying, okay, maybe I should blow up, maybe I should launch a bomb. Well, there are angels that can come into the earth, that can manifest into the earth, and they can work with the people around them. Is the angel directly stopping them from putting their hand on the buzzer? You know, that would be a little bit too much interference, one could say. But the angels, if they are not able to work with individuals around a particular situation so as to prevent it from happening, then they can manifest so that they have an even greater impact in their communication with the people. That's one of the ways in which the angelic realm will work with the individuals. And again, there may be other people that say they work with the angels and say, oh, no, they can't do that, they don't do that. So much of this is the perception, you know, and much of this is the openness of allowing of what individuals, meaning Shelly, and what she will allow to communicate through her, and what that bigger, broader expression or experience can manifest. Will there be something in the terms of, no, we don't see that happening? We don't see that happening again? Is it because it's been taken off the block? It's more so because the vibration is too high now to allow for something like that.
That's what I was hoping.
It's not that we have to take an option off of the table. It's more so just that's the natural outcome of having a higher vibration.
And that's good news. And that's, I guess, somehow that makes me feel better, knowing that we have done that, and that we do have help, and that regardless of what your perception about angels is, or divine intervention, or whatever, it's kind of nice to hear that we aren't alone. Excuse me. Sorry.
Exactly. And the other thing that we wish to share about that, because we hear so many people chattering with us, whether or not these are the people that will be watching this later and commenting, you know, we're not quite sure. But they're saying, well, what about the war? Can you stop the war? Then let's stop the war. Then let's not do this. And again, this is giving everybody the opportunity to say, okay, there is discord going on in various parts of the world. There may be discord in your own household. And this is giving you an opportunity to say, okay, this is happening. I see it happening. I acknowledge that it's happening, but I am choosing to disconnect myself from that, to take that step back, to move over to the side and say, I feel only love, light, and my divine essence in this now moment, and I allow that to flow from me into whatever situation is around me. Woo, could you feel that?
Yeah, and I feel, and also I really like that specific, you know, there could be discord in my home, there could be discord in my work. And so that's something, you're not powerless in that. You can create harmony and love and peace and joy in your home, in your work, in your relationship. That's what you can actually do that. You don't have to say, well, I want to stop the war on the other side of the world, or the war downtown, or wherever you're living. but start with you. And I think that's a big part of it. Like, if I come from a home that I feel loved as a child, as a growing up, I feel loved, and I don't need to take something that belongs to somebody else. I don't need to be jealous of someone else's job, their looks, their car, their food even. I don't need to be that because I've got it all. I feel good. I may not have a mansion, but I feel good. I feel loved. Then when I go out in the world, I'm not so easily taken in by groups of people saying, those other people are really, really bad and we've got to hurt them or take their land or take their whatever. I just won't even come into my awareness. I mean, that feels to me like that's where you start.
Well, it is all about the individual. Everything does begin within, and everything is lived from the perspective of the individual, because you yourself, this is your whole life, this is your journey. And yes, that absolutely, you think about the other people around you. Absolutely, you love and work with in relationships, be it spouses, family, work, friends. You know, life is all about the relationships. Excuse me. Life is all about the relationships. And so that first relationship, and the one that you have from the moment you were born till the moment you cross over, is you. And everything else may change, may come and go, may be good and bad, may be whatever. Your own relationship with yourself can be good and bad. We understand that. But when you begin to say, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere, then I might as well open up. And the way we always describe it is that beam of light that connects you, the human, with your divinity. Open it up. Let your divinity flow through to you. And that gives you that foundation where you know there is unconditional love, where you know that there is unconditional support. And we, the angels, and everything else, everyone who's talking to you at this time, we're a part of all that energy that flows down into every single individual. So that's why it's not about being good enough or doing this or doing that. It's about being the person that you are. And by being the person you are, you're bringing that resonance, you're bringing that special uniqueness that is you as the soul individual that you are. And that opening to your divinity is what allows it to flow, support you, and enhance all of who you are. So yes, you always are empowered. And it's feeling disempowered or like you have no control that causes you to shift out of divinity and into ego. So you are always empowered. You are always in the flow of your divinity. It's about, are you going to allow that tiny thread, or are you going to allow this immense energy that's as big as a house?
Wonderful, wonderful. So in this, you know, I'm thinking this little bit of time we have left to share. Is there anything, because there's often a message that the angels and guides and so forth want to share that maybe I haven't tapped into? Is there anything like that you would like to share at this time?
What we would like to reaffirm is that of balance, especially coming up on the equinox, which is about the balance, is about remembering that the foundation of who you are as the unique individual is your divinity, your God source energy. But yet you are human. You're having this human life. You're physical. You have the gravity. You have the thoughts. You have the emotions. You have all of that makes you human. So honor, love, and respect that too. And let the balance be that I can be a human having this experience, but I am truly the divine essence of God. And when you let that be balanced within you, then your physical body is going to be exuberant. It's going to be full of energy. You will eat the foods that resonate with you with ease. You will find them. You will, your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, your relationships, everything is just going to kind of fall into place because, yes, you are being human and you are having this wonderful, glorious experience, but you know from every particle within you that you are that God source energy. So that's the difference. That's where the balance comes from. And the balance within every individual reflects out to the balance within your home, your city, your state, your country, your world, with the universe.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Excuse me. There must be a lot of energy clearing today because I noticed both of us clearing our throats a lot. So pardon me to anyone watching this, but so I want to thank Shelly. I want to thank the guides. I want to thank the angels, whoever was bringing us this information. I didn't get that specific with them, but I found this information really powerful. And I want to let people know that they can work with Shelly personally, privately. They can listen to her teleconferences a couple times a month. They can take her classes. And I'm going to have all that information up on a separate video, but also just go to her website, goddesslight.net. And you'll get everything there, because she's just upgraded her website, and it has all the information for you. So I really just wanted to let people know it's not just that she's sharing this randomly or publicly with me, is that she actually can work with you individually and have your guide, your specific situation to help you to heal. And we've done many shows on that. You can check back to the YouTube channel, go to letsgetrealchatwithcatherine.com and go to the show page. And you'll find all the, you can just do a search for Shelly's name or, the topic or whatever, and it'll bring it to you. So thank you very, very much, Shelly. Again, it's absolutely a pleasure.
Well, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be able to talk with you and to have this interaction. And me, Shelly, and all my group behind me that have been with me, we wish to share with the world that yes, you can be and you are empowered, and open up and allow that to be how you are living your life and how it's reflected around you. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to everyone for watching. Until next time, take care.
Wasn't that amazing? Thank you to my guests for sharing with us today. Thank you for watching. Feel free to share the link. You can join us for live shows by going to letsgetrealchatwithcatherine.com and listen to the replays from the show page, preview guests, and explore links to our Facebook fan page, WordPress blog, and more. We are creating an exquisite world. Until next time, take care.